this past summer at the RNC in Milwaukee, the gang from Ruthless came on the program, my program, and they said, we're just going to break this news because everyone's talking about it in our political circles, but no one will report it. And this is what happened.
Shock. Yeah, well, I mean, so, look, I think knowing Schumer, I speculate what he does, but I'm sure that he had poll numbers and all kinds of things indicating it was a huge problem for the party down ballot, obviously.
And this is the moment, right? Biden said, I'll resign if somebody shows me that I can't win. So he goes in with polls.
So I think he took advantage of it and had this conversation, ultimately didn't get the answer that he wanted.
Schumer and
when
Biden.
He came out of the meeting, he said, good meeting, which to me immediately was a huge sign, right? If you're meeting with the nominee of your party 100 days before an election and you don't say, I fully support Joe Biden.
And you know he's twisting in the wind.
Yeah, I fully support him. Our conference supports him. We can't wait to vote for him in November. Something short of that indicates there's something else that happened. And then what we found out when we got to Milwaukee, it's the worst kept secret. Every single journalist, whether it's, you name the publication, we've talked to him over the last few days. Every single person knows exactly what happened, but they asked Chuck Schumer, and it's a one-on-one meeting, and he denies it. Mm-hmm. So they're not reporting.
So there was a meeting, and now it's all over. The Times admitting Schumer did go to see Biden in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, when he was still hanging on. He wouldn't yet step down. And the headline in the New York Times is, I'm urging you not to run, how Schumer pushed Biden to drop out. It says this is based on an interview with half a dozen people who participated in that private push. It's from an upcoming book called Madhouse. Senator Chuck Schumer of New York sat in the foyer of President Biden's Rehoboth Beach house, tired and tense. He had not slept the night before, and on the 4-hour drive from Brooklyn to Delaware, he had rehearsed out loud what he planned to say, reviewing note cards as he prepared for what he thought might be the most high-stakes speech he would ever give to an audience of one. The roughly 45-minute conversation, which took place in a screened-in porch overlooking a pond, was more pointed and emotional than previously known. He said to him, if you run and lose to Trump, and we lose the Senate, and we don't get back the House, that 50 years of amazing, beautiful work goes out the window. P.S. That's what happened. But worse, you go down in American history as one of the darkest figures. He would end with a directive. If I were you, I would not run. And I'm urging you not to run. He says, Mr. President, you're not getting the information as to what the chances are. When he asked whether Mr. Biden has talked to his pollsters about his chances of winning, the president shook his head. Schumer says, well, I have talked to them. My guess is you have about a 5% chance. None of your pollsters disagree with me. Only twice did Mr. Biden interrupt to ask a question, and both times it was, do you really think Kamala can win? Mr. Schumer said he didn't know, but that she had a far better chance. The two embraced as Mr. Schumer headed back to the car, where he broke down in tears as he recounted the meeting to his aides. He didn't know what Mr. Biden would end up doing, he told them, but he felt he had gotten through to him. How about that? By the way, they also report that Obama went to Schumer and said, you have to do it. He's not going to listen to me.
Ooh.
He doesn't, because of our fragile relationship, admitting they don't like each other.
The most surprising thing in that account to me is the detail that Schumer was driven and did not fly private, like so many of our politicians do. I would suspect that that conversation was even more pointed. That to me feels like a very polite version, because it's easy to forget, it wasn't all that long ago, how stubbornly Biden was hanging on. And I really believe that whether it was Schumer, Pelosi, the both of them basically said, we're going to bury you.
Yes.
Like, we know where the bodies are buried. Like, it's going to get very ugly if you don't voluntarily pull the plug. You have until date certain to do so. That's what I think went down. Like, I'm dying to read the really bloody, savage Roman Empire version of this.
Same. Well, they also report that Chuck Schumer demanded the meeting, yes, because Obama asked him to do it and said, I can't be the one. He's not going to listen to me. Because his members in the Senate, he said, quote, I cannot hold them back anymore. Remember when Biden sent that letter? I think it was January 8th, they dated it, saying, it's done. Stop. It was a bad night, July 8th. It was like, it's done. Move on. I'm fine. I'm staying in it. Like, put on your big girl pants. We're going forward. And he kind of declared the debate over. Well, this is saying that behind the scenes, it wasn't over. And the top senators were in a tailspin, understanding that he couldn't do it. And they were about to write a letter saying that he needed to step down. And that Schumer was saying to Biden, like, you don't want that. They're going to come out en masse against you, Democrat senators. And they also reported that Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island in the news this week for being the top Dem cross-examining Pete Hegseth on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Remember, he was the one who was like, I voted for all the nominees and of every president since I've been on this committee, 20 years ago, and I don't think that you can do it, Mr. Hegseth, because he was the worst white mic technique ever. Like, right when he got into all the juicy parts, he would pull way back, and we were all like, what? But I'm sure Hegseth was happy. So anyway, Jack Reed, who is a West Point grad, former paratrooper, apparently said he could no longer support his commander-in-chief unless Mr. Biden could produce 2 neurologists to issue a public report saying he was fit to serve and then hold a news conference where anyone could ask questions. Where were these effing reports at the time? Never mind before the June debate.
Agreed. And also, so 2 things. One, I want the Jill Biden story. I want the full, unabridged Kitty Kelly, National Enquirer version of all the machinations going on. I want to know why we are now being subject by this very same media that claims to have learned its lesson to the longest goodbye in modern American history to one of the worst presidents. Like, this feels like the breakup that will not end. Mm-hmm. Like, America broke up with him after that debate. Mm-hmm. And then we made it really final after the election, which really was like Biden 2.0 with Harris. Like, I forgot it was Harris, actually, because I keep thinking, like, we left you. We don't want to litigate this relationship anymore. There's not good stuff.
But he's still out there trying to make his closing argument about how great he was and what a threat Donald Trump is. I mean, what I do think is interesting, too, about this is it does confirm Biden's got some political instincts, asking twice, do you really think Kamala can win? Like, he knew. He couldn't admit to himself that he was going to lose, given his infirmity. Mm-hmm. But at some level, he still knew she's not the answer. And, reportedly Obama knew that too. It's like, where's the in-depth piece on, like, who ultimately said it must be her? Like, it's got to be Kamala because of the black women in our party, whatever. Like, how did they allow themselves to get into that position?
First of all, right, if you don't think she can do the job, why are you picking her for your VP, right?
It's his insurance policy.
Exactly, his insurance policy. And it goes to why DEI is falling apart all over the place right now.
Yeah.
And secondly, what I remember Pelosi saying, because remember when she was doing the rounds and she was going, well, if Joe thinks she's the best, then she's the best. She's the best choice. Like, she wouldn't say it. Nancy Pelosi with, like, her whole sort of, like, it's really time to go. Every time I see her interviewed, she's got, like, a dirty tissue clinging in her hands. Like, you know what I mean? Yes. It's like, just go.
Go. Don't get Feinsteined out of office where we can see with the eye and the wheelchair, and have some dignity.
Have some dignity. But to the Kamala thing, what I remember Pelosi saying was like, oh, she's smarter than you think because she spent that Sunday in which she told the American people her first question to Joe when he called was, are you sure? Are you sure you're going to drop out? She hung up the phone and she started whipping calls. Yeah. Whipping calls and getting the party right behind her.
She got him to endorse her. Remember his announcement, I'm leaving, came, and then within 5 minutes came and I endorse Kamala, which I think most Democrats would tell you is what did it, that they couldn't have an open primary after Joe Biden's like, I endorse Kamala. That would have been a little awkward. So how did she get him to do it? How did she get Joe Biden, who clearly did not believe in her, to issue that?
I don't know. Maybe she hung over his head like, I know how mentally compromised you've been all this time. Again, she knows where a lot of those bodies are buried as well. And she, I think, also knew that in this sort of strategic warfare that is this game, it would be Biden's ultimate FU to Obama, who never thought Biden had what it took in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like you're right. We need to know, how is it that Jill Biden somehow didn't see what all these senators saw? Mm-hmm. why, who else demanded that 2 neurologists evaluate and release their report, right? And when did they know? Because it wasn't just that debate. They've totally gotten away with it. Trump won, but there's been no accountability, and there won't be. And the same media, who failed to notice that a neurologist came to the White House 8 to 10 times over the previous year, didn't break this story. They didn't even break the fact that Chuck Schumer met with Biden. Ruthless broke that. Now here we are as he's about to leave office, right? It's too late to 25th Amendment him out of office. He's about to leave. Now finally we get we all knew that he can't put 2 sentences together. We were demanding neurology reports behind the scenes.
It's the biggest political story of the last 20 years, I think. I really do. And I don't understand how, as a reporter, you could just shy away from it. Because, again, if this were a Republican, all the gloves would be off. He would have been 25th Amendmented or forced to resign. And the whole thing, too, about letting him play out his term as though, well, we owe it to him.
I know.
I'm sorry. He works for us.
Right.
It's not the other way around.
We don't owe him anything.
We don't owe him anything. You got all the money from selling out, national security. We have this is how much, though, I think people have Biden fatigue. Like those photos that came out of Biden and Hunter with those Chinese businessmen, where he had said multiple times, I never facilitated a meeting. I was never present at a meeting. Right. But nobody cares. Right. It's just just go. Just go. Just take your dirty money and your dirty family and go.
Yes. Well, that's what, I don't know if you saw this, but Scott Jennings was on CNN yesterday asking, was it Scott Jennings saying, how did he get rich? So who was it? It was somebody on CNN saying, it was Kevin O'Leary, from Shark Tank, saying, where did all of his money come from? The guys, here we have it. Actually, let's watch it.
It's not about, Kevin, it's not about not letting people get rich. It's about not letting rich people control the political process and not having our politicians captured by those rich people such that they can't institute regulations and common sense laws to make sure that the people at the top don't abuse the people at the bottom. And our system in Washington is broken.
That's fair. It's all fair, but half the country's still wondering how Joe Biden got rich.
Yeah, okay, so here...
How did he get rich?
But if Joe Biden got rich...
How did he get rich? Does anybody understand how that happened?
I actually think that, Kevin, your question about Joe Biden's legacy and how he will be seen is actually extremely important.
Yeah, and it's not going to turn out the way Abby Phillip wants it to. Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts, regulation changes. There's a reason why gold is a diversification tactic in a market that remains uncertain. Now more than ever, Birch Gold is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. To get your free copy, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold, just text MK to the number 989898. Here are the facts. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to increase. Gold can be your hedge against a weakened dollar. And Birch Gold can convert an existing IRA or 401k in whole or in part into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text MK to 989898 and get your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, just information. Wouldn't you like to know why everybody's rushing to gold? With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of happy customers, find out more about Birch Gold. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.